but it barely worked at 9%, our projections. They weren't going to work at 4%. These people were in trouble. So I analyzed my book of business and I said, what are these people doing? That the people that really were my wealthy clients. And again, it came down to two things: real estate and businesses. That was it. It was clear as day. And I thought, wait a minute, I'm not recommending to anyone that they put their money in businesses and real estate. And why am I not doing that? Well, as a money babysitter, financial planner, I couldn't get paid to have them do that, right? And I always tell my clients, tell your financial babysitter that you've got this great real estate deal, and I promise you, here's what they're going to say: real estate is risky, you shouldn't do it. So anyway, I realized that what did it take to be in real estate? Well, it took education, and I just kind of really studied this. And also, what does it take to be in business? So I decided I was going to buy some businesses. I was going to start with one. I was going to buy real estate. But then what I realized is that the bank always was controlling what I could and couldn't do. And I thought, well, wait a minute. I need to own a bank. And then I met this gentleman, R. Nelson Nash, who wrote a book called Becoming Your Own Banker, Unlocking the Infinite Banking Concept. And he wrote that in the 80s, and you can appreciate this, when interest rates were over 20%.
Yep.
And even back then, he owed $500,000 at over 20%. And he was stressed about it. He didn't know how he was going to get himself out of that. And his brother was in the insurance business and had sold him some insurance policies. And he found out that he could borrow that money at that time for 8%. Well, that was a game changer for him, and it helped him survive in the real estate business, the real estate investing business. And so I met him, and I went to his 10-hour seminar. Then I went to his 10-hour seminar again because I had this cement paradigm about making money in Wall Street. And then the light went off. And then he became a great mentor of mine. I worked with him until his death in 2019 at 88 years old. And he taught me a lot about how to go buy cash flowing assets using the infinite banking concept, and how to go buy more and more real estate using the infinite banking concept. And for whatever reason, my opportunities have come more, and I have bought a lot of real estate with it. Well, a lot is as you know, it depends on who you're talking to, but I bought over 30 businesses using this concept too. And so that's kind of my journey, as I went from, scarcity to Wall Street, which was not scarcity. It was abundant for me. I was making money, whether my clients made money or not.
Right.
And then the light bulb went off when I was in my mid 30s, and I said, oh my gosh, this is how you get true wealth: real estate and businesses. And thank God that happened, because I couldn't be happier today. At 58, I'm doing it every day, always looking for opportunities, just like you said in the intro.
I love it. I love it. So, you have a great journey, because there's so many people out there that they're stuck where they are today because of who they were back then and where they came from. Mm-hmm. So before we move on into the infinite banking system and that whole concept, if you could talk a little bit, Jim, about the mindset of where you were back then when you were standing in line for government cheese. And if you can remember, what was it that kind of shifted for you? What was it that made you go from standing online for government cheese to saying, you know what, this is not where I want to be in life, and moving forward? Because so many people are stuck going, you know what, I grew up poor. I want to be poor for the rest of my life. I grew up with no parents. I grew up with whatever, right? Fill in the blank. I grew up with whatever.
Yeah.
And they're stuck where they are today because of who they were back then.
Yeah, that's a great point, man. I love that you made that point, because I'll give you a little bit more of my backstory, and it's in my book that's actually coming out on November 14th, and I'm not sure when this airs, so probably will air obviously after November 14th. But so the book's out, but in the book, I was adopted. I have 5 siblings, natural siblings. I didn't know that till I was in my 20s, but I was the only one given up for adoption, because my mom thought or my birth mother's husband said she was having an affair. She said she was raped. Neither one is a great option. So I was given up for adoption as a baby, and and they found me in my 20s. My point to that is, I got adopted into a very abusive, poor home, which is weird, but in California, these things happen. And what I learned was I wasn't going to accept that. I wasn't going to accept my circumstances. And thank God we live in a country where I don't have to, right? It's not a perfect, absolutely not perfect, but I don't have to accept my circumstances. And all I have to do is do more than everyone else around me, or learn more than everybody else around me, or take more action than everybody else around me. And I will break away from whatever herd I'm in. And so it really was trying to find people that had what I wanted. And I was very blessed. At 13 years old, I got a full-time job in the summer swinging a hammer at a casket factory.
Wow.
Now, that doesn't sound like you're blessed, right? Because that hammer gets heavy after a few hours. But there was a man there that owned the company, McIntyre Manufacturing. Dwayne McIntyre was his name. And I was in Inglewood, and he lived in Palos Verdes, right? Now, I'm sure Palos Verdes is not the perfect place. If you're from there, I'm sure you could tell me stories. But in my mind, it was perfect. Beautiful homes overlooking the ocean. I mean, amazing. Nothing I couldn't even imagine, right? But what I noticed is I was working 8 hours a day. I was swinging this hammer. He'd come in for a couple hours. He'd leave. He'd do make sure everybody else is doing their thing. But where it really hit me was a few weeks after I started working there. I was walking down the street in my neighborhood with a friend of mine by one of the houses that was kind of run down. And I looked down, and here's a guy pulling weeds, and it's Dwayne McIntyre. And I said, "What are you doing here?" And he said, "I own this house." And I said, "Well, wait a minute, you live in Palos Verdes. Why wouldn't you just own houses in Palos Verdes?" And he said, "No, I own a bunch of real estate in Los Angeles, and I rent it out." So by the way, so at 13 years old, I got everything that I ever needed to know to be successful, right? Did I go out and at 18, was I the wonder kid that just started doing it at 18? And no, I wasn't that guy. I was, I wasn't that guy. I needed more pain first, right? I needed to work and have the Wall Street pain. But I was blessed because I saw that. And then again, I was reminded of that when I said, how have my clients made money? How have they built wealth? And then I saw it again. So I needed 2 exposures to it. But then I said, you know what? Money gives you choices. Choices give you freedom.
True.
I want freedom. The reason that people are in real estate, the reason that people are entrepreneurs is because of freedom. I want to go do what I want to do when I want to do it. And I never want to retire from that. I'm 58 years old. My resignation will be in my obituary. But guess what? I'm going to go play golf this afternoon. I'll go play golf any day I want to play golf. I'll go fishing. I'll do whatever. I live in Florida. I do the things that we do here in Florida. But it was taking action, and I wouldn't have had. And then I found somebody that had what I wanted, like you just put up on the screen. And I cannot agree with that more. I found somebody that had, and they were willing to guide me. They were willing to say, okay, look, we're going to start small. Let's start and let's buy this fourplex. Then let's buy this. Let's then buy that. And it's just amazing. And it's so much fun. It's just amazing. But it's action cures fear. So whatever you're afraid of, take action. That's it.
I love it. I love it. It's so important. You were 13 years old. You were swinging a hammer. You didn't know what was going on and who, what, but you were open to seeing different, I guess now we can call them opportunities. Back then, you really didn't know what you were looking at, but you were at least open to saying, you know what, this guy's doing that. This guy's doing this. Let me see what's going on further and further. So to those of you listening out there right now, excuse me, it doesn't matter where you come from. You got to keep your mind open to opportunities, right? It's such a cliche. It's such a cliche saying, but it's so true, right? The mind works like a parachute only when it's open,
Yeah.
right? You got to be open to receiving these little bits of information and ideas coming from all over so that you can, as you say, take action. I love that. And you were in the financial world, you realize that, and I was in the financial world as well for a short period of time. And it's true. It didn't matter if our clients made money, because as long as we were making trades, we were making money. So yeah, it's great if they made money, they were happy, but it was all about, right, the what's in it for me effect.
Yep.
When we grow and we get older, we understand that true success doesn't come in from what's it for me. It comes in on how can I help others. And that's what I like about this infinite banking system. So let's talk about that for a little bit, because there's so many ideas about it, so many incorrect ideas that people kind of shy away from it. So why don't you share with us a little bit about that infinite banking concept, what it is, how people can get started with it, and how it can help propel your wealth and maintain it and generate it.
Absolutely. And yeah, I love that you said that there's a lot of misconceptions out there because of the world we live in marketing, and there's nothing wrong with marketing, but when you have people that really haven't done something for very long and they don't know the consequences of what they're teaching over time,
Right.
it's dangerous. And the infinite banking concept, the way that you hear it most of the time, is how I can finance my cars, and instead of using credit cards, use my insurance contract, and instead of financing my vacation on credit cards, I can use my insurance, all these different kinds of things, right? And I call that infinite banking 101. But your audience is in a different position, is in either in reality or mindset. Because if you're listening to this show, then your mindset is, I know that I got to do something different than the herd. I know real estate is that's where people, the most billionaires have been produced, the most millionaires have been produced, and I want to be part of it. And good for you. I commend you for being in that position. But most people aren't there, right? They're IBC 101, infinite banking concept 101. Let's talk about how we buy cash flowing assets with infinite banking. So I know this is hard to visualize, so I hope you can follow this. And if you can't, don't worry. I've got lots of free stuff on my community that you can go and watch. It'll break this down. But you have this insurance contract, and it's designed for cash value. Yes, it has death benefit, illness protection, all of that. But it's the way that a bank would design BOLI, bank-owned life insurance, or a corporation would design COLI, corporate-owned life insurance. Now, why do banks and corporations buy life insurance? Why do really wealthy people buy life insurance when the everyday person doesn't? And they're told it's a bad thing, right? But anyway, you have this insurance contract. You buy it from a mutual insurance company because a mutual insurance company is owned by the policyholders, okay? It gives you a contractual right to an interest-only loan of the insurance company's money for up to 100% of your cash value. Okay, now think about that for a second. We have other people's money now. We have use and control of it. Now we're going to go put it in real estate. So we're going to go put it in real estate. That real estate's going to cash flow. It's one of the reasons we buy real estate, right? That cash flow comes back to your banking system. Then what you do is you use it again and again and again, and you buy more and more and more real estate, right? And I could draw this out, but the way that it happens is normally I have to choose. I want the money that's in this account, or I want this asset, in this case, real estate. I have to choose. It's an or. I get this or that. But because I can collateralize all of my cash that's sitting in this tax shelter, by the way, once it's in there, it's never taxed again. I get both. It's an and asset. I get the money sitting in this insurance contract, guaranteed to grow every single day, and I get to go buy the asset, right? And so here's the negative and the positive. The first year I put in $1, I won't have the whole dollar. The insurance costs money. The insurance company establishes the policy, everything else, okay? But in year 10, by the way, after like year 3, with no infinite banking, just the insurance policy, the way we design it, you'll have every dollar that you put through. So it's just like your checking account. But that's not the exciting part. The exciting part is, and I'm just using year 10 because I know these numbers off the top of my head. If I put in $1, I have $1.50 to go put in real estate. Okay, so now think about that for a second. If I put $1 million in, I have $1.5 million to go put in real estate. Guess what?
That's huge. That's huge.
And every year after around year 3, depending on your age and underwriting and everything else, I'm an old guy, right? So me, it's probably year 5. You think I care at 58? No, because I'm building these things as fast as I can. And guess who's going to pay the premiums to capitalize this, to put in the $1 million to have $1.5 million to put in real estate? Not me, my tenants, right? I'm going to use the profits and the cash flow from the business. I'm going to flow it through there. I wouldn't want to flow $1 million into my checking account and have $1 million to put in my real estate business. I'd rather it be $1 million so that I can go put $1.5 million in my real estate business.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And you're able to take after tax dollars, put that into the insurance policy. The premium, the cash value grows.
Yep. Guaranteed.
Now your family is protected. God forbid something should ever happen to you. They have the death benefit, right? So if you pass away, something happens, you have that life insurance policy.
Yep.
But what you're stating also, and this is the key, is that you can borrow against your life insurance. So while Fannie, Freddie, Mom, Joe, whoever are lending money at 8, 9, 10, 12% in variable interest rates, people going into foreclosure now because of that, because interest rates are rising. What you're saying is that you can go to your insurance policy, pull that money out at a lower interest rate, go buy real estate, take or a cash flowing business, as you mentioned, take that cash flow, throw it back into the policy, grow your cash value even more, and now you have more cash to play with.
Absolutely. And right now, and we have guaranteed rates that are 5% or less, guaranteed, locked, fixed.
That's incredible.
And so think about this too, is this isn't your money that you're borrowing, right? It's a financial institution's money, which means if I go invest that in real estate, I'm not giving you tax advice because I'm not licensed to do that. Mm-hmm. But if your CPA says you can't deduct that interest, then call me and I'll get you a new CPA, because you can deduct the interest. Now, think about this. The money you're paying, the interest, all you're paying is interest only for the use, which means as money's flowing back in, that interest expense is going down. It's on a daily average, right? Or it's calculated daily. So the money that you're paying is deductible. The money you're earning inside this insurance contract is not taxed. Wow. How many things in your life do you have that relationship with? And then you combine it with real estate and depreciation costs. I mean, I don't have to tell you guys that part of it, right? I mean, all of the benefits of real estate. I get to depreciate it while it's appreciating. If they keep printing money like mad people in Washington, my asset goes up in value. Rents don't go down. Show me where rents have ever gone down. They don't, right? I mean, so I get it all. It's like a perfect co-generation. You be the bank and the real estate investor.
So okay, that's amazing. Every time I talk about this IBC concept, it's just mind blowing, and it's fantastic. So let me ask you this: does it have to be the money that you're buying the insurance policy with? And I'm just giving an example. If I have equity in my home, I can go pull out a home equity line of credit, for example, right? Let's say, and I'm just throwing out at a 6% interest rate or 5% interest rate. And then I roll that into an IBC policy. So now the equity is, I'm paying the equity. I'm putting it into a life insurance policy. Now I have a life insurance policy that's giving me a death benefit. I can take that money back out, invest it in something else, and now I can pay my line of credit using the income that's coming in from the insurance policy money that I'm. So you're kind of just using other people's money to generate income. And that's how Wall Street works. That's how the financial world works, making money out of thin air, right? OPM, as we say.
OPM. Yeah, right? That's how a bank works. I mean, think about this for a second. again, this is easier to draw out and so that it's easier to visualize. But a bank has a depositor. The depositor comes and they put the money in the bank, right? Now, we got to think like a bank. So when the depositor puts money in the bank, is that an asset or a liability for the bank?
When they put money in a bank?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's an asset.
Well, it's not an asset yet because they haven't done anything with it, right?
True.
Okay,
It's just money
it's
sitting
a
in the bank.
liability because they got to give it back to you and they got to pay you a little bit of interest.
Right.
So how do they make it an asset?
Like
They loan it to a borrower. So if we're sitting in a bank board meeting, we're talking about our loan portfolio, right? We're talking about our interest income. That comes from our asset, the loans, right? So a consumer thinks of a loan, that's a negative thing, right? Robert Kiyosaki's been teaching us this for years, is the loan is the asset. Because what the bank knows is the borrower is going to pay them interest and then they're going to pay the depositor as little as possible.
Right.
But what we got to realize is and I use 2016 numbers for Bank of America. I'm going to use those numbers. And people will say, well, why don't you use 2023? Because this is going to change. Just like 2016 changed, this is going to change. So I don't know what's going to happen in the future. I'm not going to tell you I do, but it's cyclical, right? So in 2016, the average interest income for the bank was 5.2%. So that means the bank's charging the average borrower 5.2%. The average interest expense, what they had to pay the depositor, was 0.2%. Now our consumer brains say, well, that's 5%, no big deal. But that's not how a business works. 0.2 is my cost. 5.2 is my profit. I divide my cost into my profit and it goes in there 26 times, which means the bank is making 2,600% more than the depositor, you and me, with their money, with the depositor's money, other people's money, OPM. Okay, now can I make that worse? Yeah. Okay, so there's only one banking system in the world. It's all interconnected, right? You've heard money follows the sun because the bank in Chicago closes, loans its money to a bank in Denver, and then Denver closes, lends its money to a bank in LA, and that's why we have overnight lending rates, right? So if you've got money, there's only three players in this play: the depositor, the owner of the bank, and the borrower. If you've got money in a bank and you have money borrowed from the bank, they're making 2,600% more than you with your money from you. And if anybody realized that was happening, they wouldn't do it. If what you thought to be true turned out not to be true, when would you want to know? Immediately. Yeah. And when you know what's happening, you'll know what to do. Infinite banking, that little thing that I just said, the depositor, the bank, and the borrower, in a nutshell, infinite banking is just being all three of those entities and building a wall around your banking system. I use banks. I'd rather use the seller's money because I'll get a better loan to value probably, right? But I can get 100% from the seller. We do it all the time, right?
Sure.
But at least I'm going to average 80%. So I'm going to take the cash value in my policy. I'm going to go get a loan. I'm going to have the seller or the bank carry the other 80%. And I'm going to leverage now the insurance company's money to go buy more real estate, which is going to have more cash flow.
Right. That's amazing. Right. Yeah. Let me ask you this. So I have two daughters, a 15 and a 17-year-old. Can I create policies for them now? Absolutely. Start generating that cash value. So when they're 30, 40, 50 years old, they'll have millions of dollars sitting in that life insurance policy that they then can pull out at ridiculous interest rates, depending on where the market is at that time, right?
Absolutely. So that's the cool thing, right? I had somebody yesterday contact me and they were 70 some years old. And they said, Jim, I'm in bad health. I'm 70. I said, well, I never said the insurance had to be on you. Right. You can be the owner. The owner has all the rights, just like the bank owner, right? All we need is an insured. Now think about this. How many times you invest in real estate and you bring in a partner for whatever reason, right?
Sure.
So the partner, you say, hey, now that we own this property together, I'd like to buy a life insurance contract on you. and you have buy-sell agreements, right? It could fund the buy-sell agreement, but I'm going to control the cash. And all they care about is the death benefit. If something happens to them, you buy out their family because you don't want to be in business with their family, right? 9 out of 10, 99 out of 100 times. So you could use it for that. But what I love what you just said is I want you to think 3 generations ahead, right? The Bible says a good man leaves an inheritance. Now, I always, all these old things are man. A good person leaves an inheritance.
Right.
I changed that. Okay. I'm not rewriting the Bible. Don't send me nasty emails. I'm just saying the way that I look at it, it's like adversity introduces a man to himself is the quote. I just say adversity introduces a person to themselves. And so you think about it. If you had insurance on you, right? So you're the owner, the insured, your heirs are the beneficiary. Those are the 3 players in the play on the insurance. So then you buy insurance on your daughters. So now you're the owner, you're the beneficiary, and they're the insured. And then your grandkids someday, you buy more policies. Okay. But let's just take those first 2 generations. You graduate from this world, and now they get your kids, or your heirs, your wife, whoever is your heir, who you get to choose, gets a tax-free death benefit.
That's amazing.
Right? Now they take that money. They could pay back loans to their policy. They could start new policies. They could do whatever with their banking system, right? So now they're the owner of their policy. They're the beneficiary. They're the owner and the insured. Okay. And their heirs are the beneficiary, your grandchildren, whether you have them yet or not. Now we're 3 generations. We're 3 generations of keeping money in the family. This is how wealthy families have been doing it forever. Forever. And look, what you do with your daughters is they come to you and say, hey, Dad, I want to buy some real estate. And you go, no problem. I'll loan you the money from the family bank. Here's the terms. Right? Now think about this. They're paying you interest, which is increasing your cash value and death benefit in your policy, which is going to be their money someday. And when you look at people that are given things, you talked about standing in line for government cheese. I never felt good about standing in line for government cheese. Did it taste good? Yeah, absolutely it did. But you know what? I never felt good about it. If somebody would have said, hey, Jim, let me show you how to invest in real estate. Let me show you how to be in business. That's what I needed, not a handout, not an entitlement. Right. And it's the same way inside your family. The people in your family, they don't want a handout. They might think they do, but deep down in their heart and their soul, they do not. What they want is teach me how to have the freedom that you have. Teach me, and that's what everybody, find that mentor that has it. There are so many out there. I guarantee you they will not turn you down. If you find one that turns you down, the next one will not.
Right. That's awesome, man. I love it. All right. Couple of questions. We have a question from Daniel Lara. Can we, as the parent, still be the owner of the policy once our children turn 18?
Absolutely. 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 And Daniel, I hope you're never in this situation, but if you own the policy on your wife and God forbid you got divorced, you still own that policy, right? A business partner, you dissolve the partnership. The policy doesn't go anywhere. You had insurable interest at the established. Now, sometimes in a divorce, does the other person want you not to have this big death benefit on them? Maybe. It depends on how the divorce goes, or partnership or anything else. But guess what? You own an asset that has value that you can use in negotiations. So
great question, Daniel. Thank you. Another question, Jim. Can these policies be put into a trust? Should they be put into a trust? Does that matter? Since, like you said, if you're married and you have a policy on your spouse and then you get divorced, you as the owner, you can still have that policy. Should it be in a trust? Should it be somewhere, I guess, centralized so that there's no effect on it in a divorce situation? Or does a divorce situation have an effect on it?
It doesn't really have an effect on it. And typically the policies that are owned individually, Can they be owned in a trust? Absolutely. And it depends on your situation. And I'm no attorney, but let me give you my 30 seconds on a trust. So a trust doesn't do anything, therefore it can't be sued, right? And if you don't own anything, then you really can't be sued.
Right.
Right. That's what I'm thinking from a trust. There is something called an irrevocable life insurance trust that is designed to keep the death benefit. It's designed to pay estate tax. I would say don't put it in there. And again, I'm not giving you legal advice. If your attorney says that there's a way we can do it, you have to add a slat, which is another type of trust inside the trust, so that we can get access to the money. Your spouse helps with that. But in an irrevocable life insurance trust, we're assuming that we know what's going to happen with the estate tax. And we don't. I mean,
Right.
we used to for years and years and years. When I was first started in the business, it was consistent. And now it's not. And I'm 58. I still think I'm too young to know what's going to happen when with estate tax when I die. But guess what? I know I'm going to have a ton of death benefit. If it adds to my estate, then it adds to my estate, right? But there is a way to do it later. There's a 3-year look back and things like that. But yes, it can be in a trust. And I was just working again with the law firm yesterday to they wanted the policy to be owned by the trust, and it wasn't an issue, the type of trust that they were using.
Okay, great. Now, so we create this insurance policy, we put money into it, and as your example was, we have $1,000, we put $1,000 into the policy. How long until I can pull that $1,000 out and use it? Is there a time period? Is there a certain amount, a threshold of money that has to be in the policy? Is it a time constraint?
Every insurance company is a little bit different, but the insurance companies that we use, if you put money in an insurance contract today, now there is cash drag that first year because it's establishing the policy. But whatever the cash value is, you could borrow within a week or two. And when I say a week or two, the reason I say that is because it has to show that it was taken from your bank and it was deposited in the insurance company's bank. And literally, I've sent screenshots because people are buying real estate, but they want to establish the policy first. And I've rushed that to less than a week, but I would say kind of a week or two is safe. Now, after that, when it's like the second year premium or the third year or the 10th year, it's within a week.
Oh, wow. Okay. And is it 100% of the cash value, or is
not
it
the first year, but after that it's 95 plus, and then it gets to be where you put in $1 and you have, again, think about this. In year 10, you put in $1 million. You could go take a loan the next week for $1.5 million.
That's amazing.
It's so cool. I mean, Nelson was a forester. So one of the things that he taught me is to think long term. And I was impatient in my mid 30s. I was like, well, no, I mean, like this first year, I'm going to have cash drag. And he said, Jim, but you're going to be able to leverage, and you're going to do this and this and this. And like when I show people 4 years, okay. And I really, if I tried to explain this without drawing it out, it would get so confusing. But I show people putting in, I use $100,000 because then I can see the percentages. It makes the math easy. If I can show somebody putting in 400 grand over 4 years, buying $2.4 million of real estate and generating $120,000 of passive revenue. And the reason I say passive revenue is I'm not paying tax on that 120 grand. I've got all kinds of deductions. I have tax favored with my real estate. I have tax invisible with my insurance contract.
Wow. That's awesome. All right. One more question. Oh, probably a few more questions.
Yeah.
If I have money sitting in a Roth, self-directed, 401, those vehicles, right?
Yep.
Can I pull that money out, right? Because we can use that money to buy real estate. The cash flow, appreciation, equity goes back into those accounts tax-free, right?
Yep.
Tax-free, tax-deferred, depending on how you have it set up.
Yep.
Can I pull money out from my 401 Roth self-directed and use that to buy the policy?
Yep. Yeah. You can. Okay. And so one of the things that I say now, because again, this show, people are talking about self-directed, right? Self-directed,
right.
Qualified plans. Those are qualified plans. They fit under the government's definition of a qualified plan. if I look at, and I'm glad you said Roth, because when somebody says, hey, I've got all this money in a 401k, and they're being told by the media that their biggest asset is their 401k. That's what they're being told. It's such a lot.
Right.
And I want to ask 3 questions about qualified plans. But it's not going to be about qualified plans. There's 3 questions that affect that. First question, are taxes going up or down?
Going up.
They're going up. They have to because of math. Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, and the interest on the debt. Okay. It's math. They're going up. Second question, the dollars in your pocket, are they worth more today or in the future?
They're worth more today.
Absolutely, because of inflation. When I was a kid, you could buy 5 candy bars for $1. Now you can't buy 1.
I remember 25-cent slices of pizza.
Man, yeah,
right.
Exactly. Yeah, now you got me hungry. What time?
All right. We're showing our age now. We're showing our age.
That's right. We are. Last question is, would you rather pay tax on the seed or on the harvest? The little amount or the big amount?
On the seed.
Right. Now, 401ks, just regular 401ks, not Roth and IRAs, violate every of the answers of those 3 questions. Now, who would put money in something and keep it there for 20, 30, 40 years and not know the tax consequence? The government will not tell you how much they're going to tax you on that money. You would never invest in real estate and not know the tax consequences.
Right.
And so remember this. This is why real estate is so important to me, and it's so near and dear to my heart, is motion is a law of God. If air doesn't go in and out of my body, I die. If blood doesn't flow through my body, I die. If water doesn't flow, it becomes stagnant, it dies. And if money doesn't move, it dies. Real estate money moves every day, all the time. It's always moving. I'm always reinvesting, always buying more. Why wouldn't I? Till I get enough cash flow to exceed my ideal standard of living. Then I'm financially independent. Well, then I'll keep doing it, and I'll help other people do it. Like you said, like the go-giver.
Right. That's awesome. So, all right. I mean, I think I'm out of questions. What else didn't we discuss about infinite banking concept? How does someone get started with it? Let me ask you this. A lot of people want to know, and I've been asked this question on the IBC, is what is a minimum amount that I should put into a policy? What is the maximum amount? Do I have to put in every single year money to grow that cash value, or does it grow by itself?
So those are great questions. Let me start with the first one. You can put as much in there as you want. I have people start with a few $1,000s a year, and I have people that start with millions of dollars a year. It depends on where you are in your life. And if you're in your early 20s, you're just getting started out, just get started. That's all I would say, is just get started. Just like in real estate, start small if you have to start small, and just get started. The second thing, the next question is, what was the next question? I'm sorry. Now, you said,
do we have to keep adding money every year to the policy
to make
flexible?
It grow? Okay, it's flexible. You're going to want to. Now, some people show where you just pay the premiums for 10 years. You could do that. But in the 11th year, remember in the 10th year, I said I put in $1, I have $1.50 to go use. In the 11th year, it's better. In the 12th year, better than that. Every year, it gets better and better, guaranteed. So I want to pay the premium because I want to leverage, because I know what I'm going to do with the money. Okay. If you don't know what you're going to do with the money somewhere down the road, then you don't have to. Okay. And you do have this flexibility, because the insurance policy's capitalization has 2 buckets: the base whole life policy, and then something called a paid up additions, which is like a single pay premium policy, and there's no load in it. You put in $1, you have $1 with the companies we use. Some companies do have a load in that, so that's a disclaimer. We look at we can use any insurance company out there. We set up the policy. And so what I would tell you is how you get started, back to the question that you asked before, is Nelson used to say this is caught, not taught. And so if you go to community.createtailwind.com, there's free courses in there. You don't have to, you don't have to interact if you don't want to. You could just go and learn. And I would learn about it. I would read Nelson's book, Becoming Your Own Banker, Unlocking the Infinite Banking Concept. And then I do a 2-hour and 45-minute course explaining that book.
Awesome.
And it's free. You go on there, you can do it. You can never reach out to us, whatever you want. If you want somebody that's been to the mountain and climb the mountain, and you want to coach, we've got plenty of coaches. We can help you. And again, there's no obligation. You never pay us $1 for the coaching, right? We set up the insurance contract. The insurance company pays us. Somebody's going to have to do that.
Sure.
Right. And so, and so you educate yourself. Don't go look at the marketing. You could go look at it if you want to. I'll show you all the things that are wrong if we ever talk about it, or I'll show you in the courses. But you just read that book. And for everybody that's listening, I would like to make an offer of, I'll send you my book for free. You don't have to pay for shipping. I'll pay for everything. You don't have to ever call me again. All I ask is that you go to the community and you join the community and you take one course. Don't have to contact me. You don't have to do anything. Okay. It's the honor system. Take one course, tax invisible, becoming your own banker. What is IBC? Any of it. Because I want to help open your mind to this and help you. And I'll send you my book for free.
That's awesome. I'll take that book.
Absolutely. It'll be in the mail. If not today, Monday.
Awesome. That's great. And thank you for doing that, man. That's fantastic. And that's why we have this show, to educate people, to get them from point A to point B so they can really enjoy life. One of my reasons is because I truly believe we weren't put on this earth to sit behind a desk and waste away for 45 years. Right. We live on this rock that's hurling through infinite space. That is one of the most incredible places in the universe. Right. Blue skies, green trees, birds singing. We need to be outside. We need to be with people that we care about and create memories. Right. You can't do that if you're stuck worrying about how to pay your electric bill, or if you're stuck like yourself waiting online to collect government cheese. You can't go out and appreciate and enjoy life. And by educating people like you're doing, Jim, you're opening up doors for people that never saw the light of day and never saw a glimmer of hope. So I commend you. Thank you so much. And thanks so much for giving us that offer, man. That's fantastic.
No, thank you for having me. And like you just said, I believe that what I really needed was somebody to show me the way. And that's why I'm so passionate about helping people. And I learned the way. I learned it the hard way. And I would love to help somebody just make the path a little bit easier, because everybody that makes money, again, money gives you choices. Choices give you freedom, but it gives you impact and influence. And, you're not going to just hoard that money. You're going to go help other people. You're going to donate to your church or synagogue or mosque, and you're going to help the food kitchen, and you're going to give back. So I want you to make as much money as you possibly can, because you're going to have impact on somebody in this world. And like you said, it's a beautiful world and we should be happy.
That's right. I have this, this concept that money is like cow manure. If you pile it up, it stinks.
Yeah.
But if you spread it out, it starts to grow stuff.
Yeah.
Right.
I love
Beautiful
that.
things. Right. So yeah, let's spread the love and whatnot. Jim, last question. If I can remember it again, it's the Alzheimer's here. It's the old age kicking in. Borrowing money from the insurance policy. It'll be the last question and I'll let you go. Borrowing money. What is the repayment plan? Do we have to repay it? When do we have to repay it?
Yeah, great question. I'm glad you asked that question. It's interest only. Okay, so you don't have to repay anything. So if we got just a few seconds, I'll make this quick. Let's say that you were going to loan me $100 million. Okay. And by the way, if you want to talk afterwards, you want to do that, that's great. And it was interest only, 5%. Okay. So I borrowed the 100 million from you. I'm going to stick with my 80% loan to value. I'm going to go borrow from the seller of the bank $400 million. I'm going to go buy $500 million worth of real estate. When I invest in real estate, my standard is at least 25% cash on cash. So on your 100 million, I'm going to make, after debt load, 25 million bucks. I call you and I say, man, I got your check. I got your 5 million bucks. I'll fly up and I'm going to take you to dinner and give you your check. I hand you your check and you say, hey, Jim, do you want to pay any principal? And I say, nope. See you next year. Now, That's the kind of loan I have. I'm in control. I could pay back principal if I want to. If I get a windfall, I sell a property, guess what? I'll pay back the loan then, because I can always get it again. I'm in control. They cannot deny me. There's no application. There's no amortization. There's no payback schedule. I'm the banker. I'm in control. I'm the owner. Whoever controls the money makes the money.
I love it. I love it. That is fantastic. Jim, how can people reach out to you? How can they check out your courses, reach out for the book? I see a lot of people here that are like raising their hand going, hey, I don't want the book. I want the book.
Just go to community.createtailwind.com, join. It's going to tell you that there's a process, but all I'm looking for is somebody that's trying to spam us. And so if you put in your name and everything, and you can join the course, you can get all of that stuff free. Like I said, I made the offer of sending you the book. Just take one course. There's some courses that are 45 minutes or less. And so that's one way to get a hold of us. You could just go to createtailwind.com. You could email me directly, Jim Oliver at createtailwind.com. And man, I'm excited to help anybody out there that wants to make progress on financial independence and financial freedom, especially through real estate. I'm here to help you, man.
Awesome. Jim, thank you so much for being on the show. I appreciate everything that you're doing. Keep educating people, keep taking people from point A to point B, show them the light, show them the way. Appreciate you so much. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
All right, guys, that's all for today's episode of Keys to the Castle, Unlocking the Secrets to Multifamily Investing. We hope you found this episode informative and valuable in your journey towards building wealth through real estate investing. Remember, investing in multifamily properties can be a lucrative opportunity, but it also requires a lot of research, due diligence, and strategic planning. By leveraging the insights and tips from our guests, you can stay way ahead of the curve and make informed decisions to maximize your returns. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe to our show and leave us a review. Your feedback helps us improve and bring you more valuable content. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next time on Keys to the Castle, Unlocking the Secrets to Multifamily Investing. I'm Nitsan Mosby, the Traveling Investor. Have a great weekend.